Okay, 1961, good luck. So we've not played before, no head-to-head score there. Opponent, 2600 games of rapid, very good. I'm just on 900-ish. Just over 900. What do I want to do? Let's go c6 first. Still just trying to stick to good principles, get castled, get our king safe, and then worry about the rest of the game. The bishop up, maybe get the bishop outside of the pawn chain. Yeah, so we do have an option here to take, but I don't think we should. If the queen comes up, we can always try and meet it with a queen. So let's get bishop up. d6 is a good principal move. You just got to remember to watch out for attacks like this. So I'm actually going to go to e7 just so I don't forget and blunder at some point. Okay, he drops back. Okay, I'll drop back. He might take, but not without risk. It opens a file for the rook. Okay, so let's develop the knight and prepare a pawn push. Is knight up a move? I don't think so, but something to look at because we attack this knight. I think he's fine to take because I'm going to go kingside anyway. It's a relatively common position that you see in a lot of these openings. He's played rook across, so he's tempting us here. So knight in. If takes, we're going to take back. Takes, takes, takes. Yeah, it doesn't quite work for us, does it? No, let's just get castled. He launches one. Okay, I'll trade a piece off then. So he does take. So we'll just take back. So I guess we'll just get our knight developed with a tempo and then figure out where the queen is going to go. How are we going to break through? So let's... actually, I could develop the bishop, couldn't I? See if we tempt f4, and if we don't, we get to trade our bishop off, which is not doing a lot. To be fair, opponents isn't either, but I think it's worth spending a move on this, because if it tempts f4, it really opens our opponent's king's defenses. And if he trades, then the bishops vanish, and it helps us try to get close to equalizing the position, and he has done it. Okay, very bold. So I'm going to come back to where it was, but now the king's a lot more open. So let's move the knight forward, and we'll see if we can try and open the center somehow, even if we lose pawns here. Try not to lose a rook, but if we lose some pawns... Wow, he's pushed another pawn, so he's giving himself a square. I'm going to bring the rook across, just preparing to push c5. I might lose this pawn. I could push it first, but we're just trying to find a way to open a path for our rooks now if we possibly can. So let's edge forward and edge forward again. We could play knight, and he has got the two bishops versus our one. He comes forward, so I'm going to push my pawn up. See if we can trade something and open a path for the rook. I mean, you can obviously counter it, but... And then knight across at some point might be an idea to hit the pawn, but I don't see any obvious way through. Now here we can take with a knight and maybe trade off. Are we blundering? Takes, takes... I think we can just take. If he takes, we can take back. Just the queen and the rook both are on the file, so it's not without risk. So bishop up and pawn up would be nice. So we've temporarily got a pawn, but it's likely to be just temporary. It's going to be very difficult to try and keep this. I guess you would move your queen somewhere and your rook behind, something like that. We can try this and open things up, but that's what we're trying to do because his king's defenses are more open than ours. So we're just trying to open up lanes to get our queen and our rooks forward if possible. Okay, so he's launched forward there with the rook. It's a good move, so I'm going to have to push, I think. I just got to be careful about it opening up. Now, I can't defend that, can I? So let's push it. Then if he takes back, we've then got bishop up to hit the rook and the pawn. And he might sack. He might sack here, but I'm going to do it. But hopefully we'll be able to get our rook forward at some point. That's the idea. Or the concept that we're aiming for. And then to try and get this rook into play as well. And just try and target the king because it's open. So everything could trade off here, but surely that's got to be better for us. So I'll do, is the queen up here first to hit the rook again? A development move, but then our queen is not protected. But what would you do to guard? Queen up, rook across. I don't see what I would gain there, so I'm just going to take. So he's got a choice how he takes back, and then where do we go? So we've got a very nice square here. We've got a nice square here. And then we stop rook coming across, or at least in one move. Yeah, I like the idea just going here, but do I want to free my rook up quickly, or queen here, or indeed here? Actually, I like going here. Here, if he comes down, we can throw a check in. So we've got a natural check here. So if he comes down, hurry, we'll get the queen out of the way and then worry about the pawns. So it's 5 pawns each, very level position. So now I think we want to get our rook across. This time though, if he comes down, there is a legitimate target there, but we can also check here, right? We could maybe even pin his rook. But I think I'm going to go here first. So if down, I'll jump across. But it's a threat, but he can move out the way to break the pin. That's why I'm not rushing to go over there. I mean, it might be a good move, but that's why I'm not doing it, because he can easily break the pin. So I'm just looking at a move like queen up to hit the pawn, see if we can encourage the king forward. If the king stepped up, we'd then have a potential check. So he dodges that. So maybe this is worth a look to swing across. I'm going to do that now, I think. You'll probably have to play rook across. Then we've got rook over. Potentially anywhere. There's no immediate threat to take because the queen guards, but we're threatening to bring a rook across and a rook up, so there are threats potentially there. So he's broken the pin. Okay. So what if I just check here now? Then where's he going to go? Yeah, I like the look of that. Just check. He's gone back. I don't see how I get round the back. I do not see how to get round the back. Let's step across and hit the pawn and see if we encourage another pawn push. But if the king goes across, I've got a check. He doesn't have to take, but if he did, we'd get rook check and win a pawn. So if he goes here, I'd have a check at least, and I don't think he'd be able to take. I mean, maybe he could, but we could potentially win a pawn. And if he pushes forward, it's weakening his structure again. The further they come down the board, the harder they are to defend. Equally, of course, an opposite, the more dangerous there could be an attack. Is he just going to play a move like rook across? But then again, I think we've got a rook check at the end if he does. If everything comes off. Although the king might be deflected back, so it might be fine, just rook across. Well, if he did that, I think I'm okay just to grab the pawn. Rook takes 6. He has edged forward, yeah, so there's got to be something here for us. There's got to be something. How do we get to it? Do we go forward and then down, or take and queen up? That's dangerous, isn't it? Yeah, down, queen up. I like the look of that. It's a doubled up pawn, so it's a bit like a spare pawn, so I'm going to try and open things up. It's not without risk again. Maybe he gets active and he counterattacks us, so... Again, he's still got rook over potentially, and I hope we can do a move like queen across. And if rook takes, I mean, maybe he can come down with a quick attack. It could be dangerous. We'll have to try and figure it out. Maybe the queen goes this way. We could trade everything off, but hard to make progress if we do that. But it could be the best bet. If he comes across, it could be best just to take. Let's just worry about it when it's our move. Oh, he has pushed forward. So now I'm looking at queen up. I don't think he can get adventurous in a hurry. He's got to guard his rook, but we're threatening a check from behind. So here, queen down, we just check here. It's got to be the right move to go forward. Well, actually, he can't go here right now, can he, because of our pawn. If he takes, he hangs the rook. Rook across now, we've got a dangerous check. And his king can't step this far because of our rook, so we should be able to repeat if we get a check in. So King across again. We've still got this idea of a check. We stepped forward. Wow, can he do that? There's got to be something here, but where is it? There's got to be something here, but I don't see it. Is there a trick like rook takes and check? I don't see that either. So rook up, but now he doesn't have rook here, does he? So, but does rook up achieve anything? I'm not sure it does. So maybe up one to come across. I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and triple stack. So getting rook down now, I can start throwing checks in. And then maybe just double the rooks up and still guard. But he doesn't have rook across now because the king's not guarding the square. Again, so he has gone there. So now I'm going to triple. And hope I'm not blundering. Just hope I'm not blundering somewhere. I might have to play f6 to solidify my pawn and give my king a square. But if he comes forward, I can start throwing checks in, but they might come to nothing. There might be no knockout blow anywhere. But rooks guard each other, so I don't have to take back. So it might be worth spending a move on f6, but then g7 is a bit weaker. But it gives our king an emergency, because obviously he's threatening to crash through. But if he takes now, I've got a deadly check, and surely that would be checkmate fairly quickly. Again, it might not be. So he's come forward. Does that allow us round the back now? Can we now come round the back and hit the pawn? I don't see how he gets out of that. If the king moves, you've only really got one square you can move to. Actually, you can't even move there, can you? Does that just win a pawn? How does he deal with it? That's got to be a strong move. If the queen wanders off, there's a check threat here as well. If you come forward, we're threatening to at least win a pawn and trade, worst case. So he's played queen back, but now the rook's crashing through. That's got to be checkmate, right? It is. It is just a confusing position, and he's just made a couple of inaccuracies, and we've got a good win. Let's see what it was in engine language. In particular, we're trying to learn from any opening mistakes, but 35 moves, they're the move times for both players. I see a lot quicker in the opening, a lot slower at the end. Just want to see it, especially if we've made opening errors, to try and learn for the future. That's what we're trying to look for in the reviews. You can see we've played the Queen's Pawn game Zuckertalk variation here, so if you click on that, it'll bring up some puzzles that you can do for practice. So where did it change here? Oh, we've been much better here and we blundered it. Been much better here and we blundered it back, so we've missed something crucial here. So there is a finish there that we've missed. We've been much better here as well and blundered it back to level. So from somewhere around the mid game here, late end game, we've been better. Whereas at move 18, we've then been making some mistakes and blunders and throwing away chances to convert, but that's just amateur chess. So we played 82% versus 75 on the accuracy, 2 against 5 blunders, but it's move 18, we're all level, we're much better, comes back to level, much better, back to level. Then we blundered again here, missing, it looks like a false mate, so we didn't calculate something out. So let's have a look. But the first 18 moves are fine for both players. You see here, the engine prefers to get the bishop out of the way instead of developing the knight. That's something to learn for the future, instead of allowing the option for knight takes. And here, yeah, I should have taken with the bishop instead of the knight to stop the breaking of the pawn structure. But it's still playable, you know, we're still practically level here. And this is where it starts to turn, isn't it? This is where we gain an advantage. So we're never worse for the rest of the game. It comes back to level at move 30 though. So we're gaining an advantage and then going wrong. Yeah, I should have played queen d5. I looked at it, but I didn't see the follow-up, did I? assumed you'd be able to defend that, and I didn't actually see the follow-up, but it was the right move to do. So queen to d5, queen d3, bring the rook across, g4. Then we take, and we take back with the pawn. And we've got a protected pass pawn. You've got your rook that can come across. It says a3 now. Rook up, and you just don't try and win this back. That's the engine line there, so you see we've come back about level there. We gain another advantage, or bigger advantage, and then it comes back again. Yeah, and again, I should have gone up one here to go after this pawn. And then here I should have checked here. Oh, of course. If I check here, you can't go back to guard because there's a nasty rook check. So we win the pawn here. That I've missed it with the king move there. Oh, and in this position, we've got a nasty trick. So what's the follow-up with it? I didn't see the follow-up. Instead of pushing the pawn here, you can take, we can check, and we can obviously win the run back, rook back. But I didn't see a further follow-up beyond that. And that's what we should have done. So rook c2, queen takes, check, take back. The rook goes across. Maybe we're just getting the initiative. But this is the line that we should have done. Okay, fair enough. Should have taken there instead of advancing. Queen up is fine. King forward. And it's what, +6 for us now. Well, it's the same concept. It's the same rook to c2. We should have played it again and gone for the same line. So that's why we've got a blunder there. And then that's a final blunder of the game, I guess. Or there's another one, king going, queen going back over, allowing the checkmate. But it's +7 though, so it's practically over there. Or it should be. It doesn't mean we can't mess it up, but it should be. So in the end, we got a win. But it's one of them games. You see lots of mistakes from both of us, but that's just amateur chess.